video is part of the What Would You Make Open Challenge, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that after the first project. I'm calling this project Butterfly Home. I'm just using this wood shape I purchased from Dollar Tree. I have these dark purple lavender stems that I got from Temu, a napkin that I got off eBay, and then I'm also using some twine that I got from Dollar Tree. So to start things off, I'm just deciding on the shape and the fullness of the swag, and if indeed those were the ones I want to use. And once I was happy with that, I just kind of push those to the side to work on the house shape. I give it a good coat of Mod Podge, not too gloppy, but a good coat. And then I just set it to the side to work on the other things. I just make a little rip on the corner and then kind of roll it to try and get an edge, and then just pull it off. You can use a piece of tape or put some glue on your fingers. I just do it like that. That's what works for me. So I wrapped some twine around my fingers, made a little loop, and then I just kind of scrunched it. You could also twist it and then wrap some twine around the middle, and you have like a nice sort of floral looking bow. And you can fan out the loops on the edges to give it an even more floral look. So I'm doing a dry fit for the swag at the top, and I kind of feel like the lavender stems are just a bit too long. They were sort of hanging off the edges and I didn't like how they looked. So I came in with my wire cutters and I cut those little pieces off and then trim the stems. We're going to set those aside though, and I'm going to iron on the napkin. Now, this is a Hippo heat press, and it has a high, medium, low. I think I chose medium. It blinks while it's warming up, and then it beeps when it's ready. Then I'm doing a dry fit with the napkin here because the Hippo heat press just beeped at me. I sort of move it around a little bit till I'm happy with what's on the edges and the bottom and everything. And then I take a piece of parchment paper and iron that on. And I do that for like a good little while. And then I take some sandpaper, and I started with just a used piece here, and it wasn't working as good for me as I wanted it to. So I grabbed another piece that was flatter, and the napkin just literally fell away from the wood. So you could use if you have a sanding block or a sanding sponge, you could use that. That would probably work really good. I kind of like using sandpaper, so I just chose a flatter one. And then instead of using Mod Podge on top, I like to just spray it. I get such a nice wrinkle-free result that I don't like to put Mod Podge on top of it. And that's just me. You can do you know, what you're used to doing or what you like doing. This is just how I like to do it. Now the stems are just the perfect size, and I just hot glue them on there. Then I fan out the edges, or the little loops, the edges of the loops there, to give it like a more rounded floral look. And then I just hot glued it on the top of the house shape and on top of the floral stems or the lavender stems. Now you could leave it here, you could walk away, but I felt like I was missing something. I wanted to use the lavender napkin, but I knew I was going to have like some white space there. So I pulled out these stamps that I got from Temu, and I made the word home with the letter stamps, pushed it down into my little stamp pad there, and then I set that on one side of the house shape. And then I didn't move it, like I didn't rock it or anything. I just set it down and then pressed it. Like I held it there with my fingers and pressed it down and lifted it up. It looked pretty good. The E was kind of crooked, but I really like how it turned out. Then I took the butterfly stamps and I left the stamp right on the sheet that it was still on. I chose one that I liked the shape and the size, pressed it into the ink pad, and then did the same as I did with the word home. Just carefully lifted it up there And this is perfect to me, and I will give you some better looks at the final reveal. So what would you make is a monthly open challenge, and the theme is simply wood. Every month you need to make projects out of wood. So the host for the challenge is Zaina from OK at Home DIY and Connie from Connie's Wood Shop and DIYs. And this month's guest host is Amanda from 6 Kids and a Glue Gun. Their channel links, as well as a link to the playlist, will be in my description box below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Farm Fresh wall hanging. So these are the supplies I'm using for this project, and it's really quite the simple little project, but I think it's pretty and I like the farmhouse vibe that it has. And I'm going to match it to that house project with the similar florals and the twine bow. So we have these fall words here, and I'm not quite in the fall mood just yet, so I'm going to use the word Farm Fresh because it's the least fall themed. This square Dollar Tree sign has a nice hanger on it that you can easily take on and off, so we'll use that, plus the twine there. And then I was going to use this little piggy, but he was kind of taking up too much room, and I was kind of like debating where to put the letters, like on him or above him. So then I went through my stash and I found this cow on a stand, and I thought, well, I can just do the back. I didn't really like what was on the front there, the words. So I decided on the cow, and then I went through the florals there, and I had the darker purple ones that came from Temu, but also had like the yellow in like light purple florals that came from Dollar Tree. So I said no to Little Piggy. Little Piggy went back to the farm there, and I flipped the cow over and set about removing it from the stand. These little screwdrivers came from Dollar Tree, and they're magnetic, so once you remove the screw, if you gently pull it away, the screw stays stuck on the screwdriver. So I tried using my jewelry trimmers or wire trimmers to remove the bottom, the metal part, and it wasn't working, and I actually made a little bit of a mess, which I will fix in a little bit. So I went back with some pliers and just tried to flatten it out as best I could. I sort of like messed around with it and then set it down till I liked the flatness of it. I put these little pieces of painter's tape on the back to cover the holes so the paint doesn't go through, but also it sort of minimizes the look of those holes. You know, from a distance you can't even really tell they're there, and nobody's going to be like right in front of it there. Anyways, yeah, so I got that painted and I set it aside. I took it right off my desk so I wouldn't get black on anything. And I went ahead and opened my little package of words and chose the Farm Fresh one like that. And some people like to cut them apart. I chose to leave them together. I like how that looked. I went ahead and put more painter's tape, this time on the sign, just so I could rub some burnt umber acrylic paint on the frame and then also on the words. And I like how that sort of balances everything. So you have the darker brown words in the middle and then the darker brown around it on the frame. And I like how that looks. Also didn't try to do like a really even coat because I like the farmhousey vibe of being able to see the streaks and variations in the painting. And I just used a wet paper towel to do that. Here I am dry fitting the words in the cow, and I kind of liked how it looked sort of off center like that because I'm going to put a little swag and bow on the top left corner there. So I went ahead and just used those painter's tape to help me put it back where it was in the dry fit. Then I rubbed some water on the back of the cow because I'm using Gorilla Glue. So I used the Gorilla Glue mostly in the middle of the cow, and then I came back with the hot glue around the edges and on the bottom, on the legs there. And it settled down quite nicely. It wasn't going anywhere. So here I am playing with the flowers, deciding which ones to use. And I could have done like a fuller swag or a little bouquet or whatever. But I kind of like just the simple lavender. One side, the lavender was pointing down and the other side was pointing up. And I liked how that looked. I'm wrapping the twine around my fingers to make a finger bow, just how you would with the tassel, but you wrap it in the middle instead of at the top. I also like to fan out the edges there, give it more of a floral look. So I just hot glued that little swag down and trimmed the twine, and then I zhuzhed up the little bow, the twine bow, and just hot glued it right on the corner there in the middle of the swag. Now you might want to add some stickers or maybe a fuller bow, but I chose to leave it like this, and I will give you some different looks during the final reveal. And just a quick relax project to finish up the video. I bought the relax word like early in the summer, so as the summer days are waning, I finally figured out a way to use it. The wood you see underneath the word relax is just a scrap piece of wood that I was using to drill things on. Like I would put it underneath stuff I was drilling, so I didn't drill through onto my desk. So I'm going to just like sand it down and paint it. This relax word came from Dollar Tree. It just says decor on the sign there. So using the scrap wood as a stand for the word, and I'm going to use some E6000 and hot glue and some twine, and also a little finger bow with some lavender, just like in the previous two projects. So I was just using a piece of sandpaper with my finger to try and even out some spots that had like little splashes of paint and little marks and stuff, and it wasn't working, so I just decided to paint it white, and then I did some oatmeal on top of the white, and it gives this sort of a greenish hue. It's really strange, but I've had other creators say that their oatmeal has a green finish to it, so I know it's not me. I know it's not a bad batch. It just is what it is. So here I am with the finger bow, and I actually show you a little bit more of it in this project because there's not as much to it. I wrapped it around my fingers there, and then I leave a little tail and wrap some more twine around the middle of it. And then I just make a tie in the back, or what I choose to be the back, and that's a little floral looking bow. So I used the same lavender as the previous project, only this time it's the nice shape, but also the nice size that I like. And again, I just hot glued it on the top left corner of the letter R there, and then put the finger bow right on top of it. Now, E6000 and hot glue is my favorite combination. I wasn't even sure which parts of the word we're going to touch, so I just assumed that all of them would be touching, and a few of the spots I used E6000 and a few I used hot glue, and I could not believe how well it stuck practically right away. I actually went to move it and was going to hold it and realized it was just stuck on there so good. I did put some tumbling tower blocks in the back there just for some further balance and stuff, but I'm telling you that glue combination, E6000 and hot glue, is super fantastic. So I just put the tumbling tower blocks in places where you couldn't see, and better look at the final reveal.